Hello and welcome, everybody. It's John Pollock and Jimmy Korderas coming at you. This is our WWE No Mercy preview, which is coming up Sunday from the Staples Center in Los Angeles, California, which is being promoted as our two WrestleMania caliber matches at No Mercy.
Well, apparently No Mercy has become the biggest event of the, well, it's not quite summer because on the weekend it becomes fall. So it's the biggest event of the fall. How's that?
There you go. A September to remember for the WWE. First of all, what are your initial thoughts of loading this card up with these two matches that you could certainly make the argument you could save if your WrestleMania plans are locked in for at least a Royal Rumble, something bigger than this? I mean, it's obviously added a ton of interest to this show that may have been absent of any interest had they not put these two matches together.
It has added a ton of interest, and I agree with you that maybe these are two matches that belong on a bigger, higher profile pay-per-view, in my opinion, whether it is Survivor Series or even the Royal Rumble. The Royal Rumble would have been perfect. And
this would be my 1-2 at WrestleMania. Like I've said, I feel Braun, I'd go all in on this guy, and these would be my two matches I would build Mania around, but they're doing them this weekend.
Right. For whatever reason, I don't know whether it's to try to build awareness to the network for special events. Is that what they're called now? They're not pay-per-views anymore?
Oh, they're called pay-per-views, even though they're not.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I guess in some areas...
Let's not get into the verbiage of WWE. It'll make your head spin.
That tends to happen a lot. But, I don't know if it's to draw awareness to the network and try to get people, pump up those numbers or whatever it is. But or whether it's scheduling issues because there are,
It's also a major market in L.A. I mean, certainly they're going all in here on this show.
But that's the thing. These are two matches, like you said. Braun Strowman, his progression has been fantastic, and it is a WrestleMania-worthy match, and so is John Cena versus Roman Reigns. That is a WrestleMania match. Can you imagine, again, going off topic, to have that match at a WrestleMania with that audience that is so rabid and so in tune? That would be the loudest you would hear. And people will complain and say they hate both guys, but at the same time, it would be the loudest reaction you've ever heard in a WrestleMania match.
Yeah, and I think the heat for Cena and Reigns will be, I think that's one of the most intriguing parts on Sunday is the crowd and the reaction. Like L.A., hopefully you're going to get a really hot crowd on Sunday for both of these matches. But let's start with the Universal title match with Brock Lesnar, Braun Strowman. First of all, is this going to be similar in the layout that the Samoa Joe match had, where it's, and Goldberg too, high intensity, really quick, but you're under 10-minute match, or are we going to see more out of these two?
I think probably 10, 12 minutes is going to be max for this match. Slightly different from the Samoa Joe match, where Samoa Joe got on Brock early and dominated. I think we're going to see, in this one, in my opinion, I think we're going to see Brock hitting a lot more offense on Braun Strowman, but Braun Strowman doing the old Hawk from Legion of Doom stuff, and not necessarily no selling, but not selling as much as a normal human being would sell, taking whatever, 8 suplexes and going to Suplex City and stuff like that. I think that is going to tell part of the story, and then Brock absorbing a tremendous amount of punishment after that. So it would have to be more than 6 minutes to get all that stuff in it to tell that story. But at the end of the day, I still think that thinking about what their long-term plans are, Brock comes out of this. The challenge is going to be, how do you get Brock past Braun Strowman without killing any of the steam that Braun Strowman has so far?
Yeah, I think this is a very easy match to have Brock win, but also maintain Braun. And I think that 9-10 minutes is probably perfect, where Braun kills this guy for 8.5 minutes, and it's Brock who just escapes with an F5 out of nowhere, and he's been beaten throughout the whole match. They sell it as the biggest beating Brock has ever had brought to him, and that Braun just got caught, and he's one step behind being at that level. And maybe this is, if your plan is Brock and Roman for WrestleMania, an easy rematch to go to where Brock then gets his big win over Braun, or you just preserve Braun and he loses here, but he still comes out of this with a ton of momentum, which is another word they love. But I think that they can book this in such a way that Braun still is a monster after this, and you sell it. Like, this was the toughest challenge of Brock's career, and he comes out of it beaten down, and he has to go away for a few months because he can't continue.
Right, absolutely. It worked for Samoa Joe. I mean, obviously he lost that match, and of course people complained that it was only one F5, but that's not in the context of the story. It's
the impact of that move.
Right, and it told a good story, and Samoa Joe didn't lose any of his credibility or any of his steam out of that match. Absolutely the same thing can happen with Braun Strowman.
Now, with Roman Reigns and John Cena, this is one that I think, John Cena's not advertised for any dates beyond this Sunday. Could be back before the end of the year, but for the immediate future, I think most are expecting him to go off for one of his many projects that he has going on. He's got the big Bumblebee movie, the Transformers deal that he's got going on, so that's going to take up a lot of his time. I think Roman has to win this match, and I guess the big question is how the crowd reacts to this match, how it's laid out, but I think it's going to be very strong.
Oh, this match I think will surprise a lot of people. It will not be your technical masterpiece that people seem to want, but I think it's going to be, as far as investment and storytelling and psychology and getting people invested in the match, this one is going to be a candidate for match of the night, I think. I think both these guys work very well together, and I think their chemistry will be very good. John Cena is very good at adapting to whatever opponent he's in the ring with and their styles. And Roman Reigns is getting there as well at adapting to different styles and working with different opponents. So I think these two are going to work well together. As far as who wins, I agree with you, John, that Roman Reigns is the guy who needs to win this. And going forward after that, we'll see. The only thing I don't like in the build to this match is I enjoyed the first round of air quote shoot from the hip promos that they did, which I thought was very entertaining. I don't like it when they go to that week after week after week because we got it the first time.
Yeah,
I go back to the CM Punk pipe bomb way back when everybody said, "Oh my God, he's speaking truth," but everything that CM Punk said in that all led back to the match.
Yes.
Against John Cena.
Yes.
It was like, oh, I'm shooting, but tune in Sunday because I'm going to beat John Cena's butt. You know what I mean? It's...
You can go outside of the regular space, but it all still makes sense within the body of a wrestling show, which that first week, I hated the line Cena used about how you took the U.S. title as demotion. That makes no sense within this world where these wins and losses are real and you actually won this championship, that it was somehow a demotion. Or, some of the... where you're just trying to be too cute for a smaller segment of the audience that are your audience that's most invested in this to begin with. You have to still make this. You're not doing a podcast interview. You're doing a pro wrestling promo to build to a match.
Right.
And that's where when you deviate out of that, that's where you get into WCW 2000 territory, where they fell in love with just trying to appease the internet and getting away from program building. Right. And that's where, at times, these two deviated out of that.
Yeah, exactly. And historically speaking, booking for the internet and to the internet has historically never worked. And WCW 2000 is a perfect example of that. Other promotions are a perfect example of that.
Well, even this week, the Alex Riley line.
Right.
I'm sure that enough of your audience at home may be aware that Alex Riley has talked about his issues with John Cena, but man, that was a line that went over everyone's head in the arena.
Yep.
And I'm sure a lot of people, let's be honest, is Alex Riley the most recognizable name to your average viewer? No. Do they remember Alex Riley? That to me is just one of those lines that it's like that's a line for the locker room and no one else, and that is not your paying audience.
No, it's kind of and don't get me wrong, I'm friends with JBL, but sometimes him on commentary, same thing. He would throw lines out there that would pop the boys in the back, and that's not what your job is on commentary, and that's sometimes what they tend to do. Is try to pop the boys in the back. And like you said, the Alex Riley line was... I will give Roman Reigns credit for this, though. He seemed more comfortable this week.
Oh, his promo was very good. Let me not mistake that. I thought it was very good, and I thought it helped not having Cena there, that Roman could do that promo.
But at the same time, like I mentioned in another show, I give credit to John Cena for pushing Roman Reigns. Because let's be honest, John Cena on the mic, when he's on his game... there are very few that can keep up, and he's pushing Roman Reigns to get better in that one area that people say he lacks the most, which is on the mic. And now I think he's starting to feel his groove. It just depends on now the material given. You know, yeah. I wish they would just a little bit go back to the days where they just give bullet points and just let guys go and to fail on their own. If you fail on your own, you learn from it. You know,
I've always maintained that the biggest risk that they feel they have is you send someone out there and he freezes, forgets where he's go. Like, how many times in the last month have we seen guys with scripted promos go blank? Happened with Shane. Happened with Roman in that one promo as well. It's like, that's where people learn. They learn from failure because you understand what the consequence is. When you're on national television, you better be ready to talk in any situation and respond to any line, and that's what makes a sharp promo. So if we're both in agreement with Roman winning here, where do you see Roman going after this? Because you have, I think everyone figures that if you're going with him and Brock for Mania, he would probably be your fixture to win the Royal Rumble, but we've still got the rest of the year until then.
Well, hopefully, I would love to see a nice little bit of an extended rivalry between him and Samoa Joe.
That's
when
right.
He returns. And,
he should be ready to be back soon.
So I think that would benefit both of them. You know, puts Joe right in the mix again and on the upper level of the card. I think that may be the best choice for him, but as long as they don't do a faux Shield reunion, I'm okay with it.
Do you feel like, much like the main event, do you leave the door open for a rematch with Cena? Does he even come back on Raw when he eventually returns, whether it be later this year for Survivor Series or even Royal Rumble time?
I think, obviously the door should be left open, and depending on how they end the match and Cena's reactions afterwards, I think having Cena as the free agent, I don't know. I almost feel like he's better served on SmackDown, and maybe should stay there. But
based on the attendance for the SmackDown tapings of late, I think Cena's been a big hit or a big loss.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think he'd be better served to go back to SmackDown, but that's all scheduling depending, of course. And when he's
a busy guy.
Yeah. Well, it's funny that he called Roman Reigns a bootleg John Cena, where John Cena seems to be a bootleg Rock. How do you like that?
Look at that. Jimmy was up all night working on his bullet points.
No, actually, that one I came to me yesterday, but I just remembered it for today.
In terms of, is it the title match that goes on last Sunday? You can make it. You can make the argument. You could put Reigns and Cena on last. It's that big of a match, but probably ends with the title. I think.
Yeah, I would say so. I wouldn't put Cena and Reigns on right before that. You would definitely need some kind of buffer match in between or something just to let the crowd cool off, because they will be white hot for the Cena-Reigns match. Yeah.
It will also be interesting because the next Raw show is, I think it's 2 weeks after Hell in a Cell, so we're just a month away. And if you're looking at the prospect of Cena disappearing after this show, is Brock going to be around for next month's show? Especially if you don't have a program ready. I mean, you could extend Braun to another one, but I feel that's... you might be a little shorthanded on Raw moving forward after this show. So we will see where all that falls into place. Going in, it very much feels like a two-match show on Sunday. I think that's where 98% of the focus is on those two matches, and then we'll have an undercard that will complement it.
Right.
We've got the rematch with Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose against Cesaro and Sheamus. I'm sure this will be a fine match. I'm just, I don't know. I'm just not feeling it. I feel I've seen every combination of these four every single week, and now we're going to have another match on Sunday, which, hey, I'm sure it'll be your fine 15, 18-minute match.
I don't know. I'm just, like you, I'm not feeling the Ambrose Rollins tag team. I don't know.
Like that comedy stuff on Raw, to me, it's like that's what everyone hates with Dean Ambrose, is doing all these stupid one-liners.
Exactly.
And when you did something real with the tease of the Shield reunion, they got into this. Like, these to me are not difficult characters to book, and it's just right back into the role that Ambrose was prior.
It's almost like trying to recreate that Kevin Owens Jericho dynamic, where those two work so well off each other, and everything that seemed so off the cuff was gold. It was funny. It worked because it felt authentic. It felt natural. It almost feels like these two guys are trying to force the comedy in there, trying to shoehorn it in, and for me, it's not working anyways. As far as Cesaro and Sheamus, I think these guys could be the tag team to, pun intended, set the bar for the rest of the Raw tag team division. But with the loss of the Revival, which kind of hurt them, because another team that could could really be thrown into the mix. The handling of Gallows and Anderson hasn't been the best.
The Hardys, they're not even on this card as of now. They may get added, but it'll be, just some thrown together match at the last minute.
So it's not like there aren't teams there. It's just, again, the lack of focus on the tag team division. You know what I mean? You have 3 hours of Raw. You can actually spend more than one segment on the tag team division.
Well, that takes us to the Cruiserweight division, which is...
Speaking of which.
I'm checking, and it hasn't completely flatlined yet, but now's the time to make phone calls. We've got Neville defending the title against Enzo, who, if you simply have watched Raw and not 205 Live, what a number they have done on this guy.
Yeah.
To watch that segment on Monday where this guy was just... I mean, he was booked as though he were Kurt Hawkins. It was just unbelievable that this is your title challenger going into the match on Sunday, that it just feels, I don't know how you can necessarily be invested in this at all. And I don't even rule out the fact that they put the title on Enzo after all of this.
I was just going to say that. I said after all this being demolished by Braun Strowman on Monday, he wins. He defeats Neville, and Neville goes completely insane bonkers.
Wow. That's...
I mean, it could be entertaining having Neville go off the rails, but at the same time, just Enzo, I'm like, his one strength was his mic work, which is just rehashing the same old lines different ways. It's gotten boring for me.
Yeah, like this is a guy to me, though, like very talented talker to me, but also someone that... Like here you had this baby face that the audience reacts to, and it just seems they are bound and determined to kill whatever that is. Like I don't see how you as a fan can get behind this guy that fails at every turn, that is booked as this annoying nuisance on the show, and just fails, continually fails. To me, it's the perfect formula to just make sure no one cares about this guy, and just bringing him down from the reactions you were getting initially. So... some outstanding stuff there. Raw Women's title match. We've got a 5-way now with the return of Bayley, who will join champion Alexa Bliss, Nia Jax, Emma, and Sasha Banks.
So basically, you just show up on Raw and you get inserted into a title match.
That's how it works.
Yeah,
it's got to be your hometown. And,
okay. Yeah.
And then you can declare such.
Ah, nice.
So
that's how it works. So going through all these battle royals and number one contenders matches were kind of useless.
It's hidden in the rule book there, Jimmy.
Okay, yeah, I got to go find that one because that one's in the fine print that I need the 2.5 magnified glasses for.
Yeah. This is one where when you look at this card, like to me, there was just like this head-spinning amount of title changes over the past month that doesn't matter who wins this match.
It's funny how this women's revolution was so looked so promising and got off to one hell of a start, and it seems to have fizzled out to the point where,
it feels like a lame duck period as well, because the big star is Asuka that's coming, and that's where everyone has their focus on at the point, and these women are just simply biding their time until Asuka's debut. That's what the division feels like at the moment.
Yeah, it's almost like, in a smaller sense, it's almost like the Roman Reigns-Daniel Bryan dynamic where, they strapped the rocket to Roman Reigns heading into that Royal Rumble a few years ago. Then they announced Daniel Bryan is coming back, and everybody went, the hell with Roman Reigns? We're waiting for Daniel Bryan. This is going to be the same thing with Asuka. So, it's like you said, almost like a lame duck situation now for the women's division.
And for that reason alone, I would just leave the title on Alexa. I don't think there's any point in changing the title. And, don't let me get into my rant about what we're going to hear on Sunday about each woman having a 20% chance of winning. As though we're all just going to flip a coin as to who's going to win this match.
But there's only a 10% chance of that.
A 10% chance of the 20% line being dropped?
Yeah.
All right.
My
co-host, Scott Steiner.
Yeah.
Finn Bálor and Bray Wyatt. This is the best. Man versus man. That's our stipulation, Jimmy. Man versus man.
I thought Bray Wyatt was a god.
I guess not. No, he's de-emphasized himself to a mere man for this match, while Finn Bálor has also... this is the lesser of both personas. We have the non-demon Finn Bálor against the non-god Bray. I guess that's what we can conclude.
Yeah, as long as it doesn't happen in a compound house, whatever you call that thing, where moving refrigerators are.
I thought William Regal would be the referee for this match.
Actually, he's a man. Oh, that would be awesome. They should play that theme song. One of my favorite theme songs, actually.
Well, sure. I might be playing that theme song as this match is going on. I don't know what it is. Bray Wyatt, to me, was someone that, listen, I've given the benefit of the doubt that maybe they can make some tweaks. If this was a stock, I sold, Jimmy, and I took the loss. I just realized it's done.
I felt like many times that I was the last holdout, along with you, for this Bray Wyatt. Hoping for that. I find the character intriguing. I like the presentation of the character. It's just the way, again, he's been handled going with all these feuds and rivalries that he's been in. It just hasn't made sense to me, for the most part. Here's a guy who I thought could be the next Jake the Snake Roberts, and just didn't happen.
It seems like one of those characters that it's very much this spotlight on NXT. Like, here's this story of a guy that reinvented himself, that came up through the NXT system. It was different. It was unique. You explain this character, and it sounds really intriguing. Great vignettes that they shot with him, that it's almost an admission of failure on their part to acknowledge where this character is. To me, it's a flat line to me. I'm not interested in it at all. This feud to me has done nothing for me. We got through SummerSlam, and the hook is that this time around, Finn Bálor is a lesser version of the Demon. It's just Finn Bálor without the paint. And
I guess
some people are into this. Some people are enjoying this stuff with Dustin involved, but to me, I don't know.
I guess the theory behind it is to try and get people on board with just Finn Bálor, and not have them clamoring for the Demon character every time he appears. And it's trying to, I guess that's the end game. But by the same token, when you have something like the Demon character, when he appears, it is so freaking cool. People are invariably going to want to see it every time.
Well, not to say, maybe I'm reaching here in the nitpicking scale, but also you've established that Demon character, it is special. It's something different. So if we're now establishing that he's just as powerful without the paint, what's the specialty for this attraction that you have created for this character as well? It's kind of, they're in a weird position because when you position this Demon version as important, you invariably say the regular version is less than. Yeah. So it's a difficult predicament they're kind of in here.
It's almost like taking Taker and have him as the biker Taker, but when he wants to get real serious, he's the dead man.
Yeah, they didn't mix the two for that reason. And this isn't like NXT where you only have 4 or 5 specials a year and you can make it important for those ones. Now it's monthly, so it becomes a bit difficult. And not to say that this character is, to me, flailing away. He's no Bray Wyatt. So anyway, I'll assume Finn wins this match, and maybe Bray just explodes. I threw an idea of him being taken under the power of an evil Goldust.
Ooh. His protege.
Do something with those two.
Well,
that's his protege. That's the protege, Bray.
See that? I like that.
Goldust has been beaten, and it takes him to a dark place. And God knows Bray needs something.
Right.
He needs someone, and it shouldn't be Harper or Rowan.
No, that's actually pretty cool. I like that.
Just give me anything at this point. And I think Dustin legitimately could be a behind-the-scenes mentor to this guy. You have the Dusty connection between these two.
Right.
I'm sure Dustin looks at this guy as someone that you would want to be just helping this character get on to the right path. Because, listen, we've broken it down. There's elements here. I'm not saying release the guy. No. It's just, this isn't working. This is 100% not working. And I think it's just a tune-out factor when this guy comes on your screen, which is the last thing you want.
Exactly.
Moving on, what else do we have coming up on Sunday?
Miz and
The Miz and Jason Jordan for the Intercontinental title has also been set up. Do you see the title change happening here?
No, not yet. At least I hope not. I like Jason Jordan, but I think he's been thrust into a spot that he wasn't ready for. It's almost like
an angle that nobody buys. And to me, it's when your audience gets reminded of the Kurt stuff. I feel they just, whatever good you do. So, like, I like the Reigns and Cena challenges. I thought that was good for him. And when you can showcase that, great. But then everyone gets brought back down to earth, this Kurt thing that I think they just, reject.
It would have made more sense, and not from a visual standpoint, but it would have made more sense to have Chad Gable be the guy, because Chad Gable is, I think, has more personality than Jason Jordan, and could probably be more in tune with Kurt Angle's Olympic persona from when he first entered the WWE. So that's just my opinion. But at the same time, like I said, I think Jason Jordan is very athletic. He's still very young and still learning. It's just I don't think he's ready for this spot yet. And having him in there with someone like Miz will help him out, because Miz, believe it or not, one of the veterans who's helping these young guys out, and also one of the best guys on the mic who can take their words and make them his own. He'll benefit from it, but I don't think he's ready for a spot with the Intercontinental Championship. I like what Miz is doing with I'm the Intercontinental Championship. You guys are treating me like crap. I deserve better because I'm the one elevating this championship. They should just keep going with that.
Yeah, I think we're already getting the teases of the Jordan turn, which I think is ultimately where this leads to with Kurt. So there you have it. That's No Mercy. I'm all in on the top two matches.
Exactly.
I think that's everyone's interest, and beyond that, I hope it's a good wrestling show.
How do you do it like this? Is this take my money? Is this how they do it? I don't know.
Yeah,
these kids today, they got all these new hand signs and stuff. I don't know what's going on.
Well, you can download an app. They'll give you all the instructions on all of them.
Cool.
So No Mercy happening on Sunday. So it's a tale of two cards for me in LA.
Yep.
We will find out. Pessimist, never disappointed. So we'll see. Maybe this undercard will really blow us away.
Well, you never know.
Maybe Enzo's going to steal the show with Neville.
If there was one I would bet on that wouldn't,
that would be it.
That might be it.
That might be. Yeah. It's going to be. Listen, I want to see what 8 minutes of Neville and Enzo looks like. Like, I do want my mind to see that.
You talk about polar opposites as far as in-ring ability go. That's it.
This is that's on Neville. Like, Neville, that's his role on Sundays, to make this guy look like a credible babyface when your company has done absolutely nothing to make him look like such.
I think. Well, you had Ibushi wrestle an inflatable doll.
That's the closest equivalent, which I think that match may eclipse what we're going to see on Sunday. In fact, I would be stunned if it doesn't.
The old reference where they say, "Oh, that guy could wrestle a broomstick." Well, Neville, Sunday you get your chance.
All right, well, there you go. The broomstick in action, challenging Neville. We will be back next week. We'll have a full review of No Mercy coming up. And then next month, it's Hell in a Cell and TLC. It's a double in October. So plenty of Jimmy Korderas to be had here at liveaudiowrestling.com, and subscribe at youtube.com/liveaudiowrestling. No Mercy airs at 8 this coming Sunday night at 8 Eastern Time from the Staples Center. And then The Law will be on midnight Eastern Time, TSN 1050 Toronto, TSN 1410 in Vancouver. And you can also listen live at liveaudiowrestling.com with Jason Agnew and Dan the Mouth Lebransky.